Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is David Brooks, the Cadillac Counselor, coming at you with my parents. I mean, can you believe that they are in Maryland? It wasn't the best situation of why it all happened, but you know what? We got them here in the studio. So I'll let them introduce themselves. I got my mom, and that's Evelyn, and David is my father.
I am Evelyn Eccles Brooks. I was raised in Columbia, Mississippi, and I married a great man from West Point, Mississippi, and we live in Texas at the moment.
And my dad, he jumped in on this, and his voice is a little hoarse. I don't know, maybe a little allergies or something like that. But we still got him. This you never know. You never know what you're gonna get.
I'm David Brooks from Richwood, Texas. I'm here visiting my son Charles. Under the circumstances, after losing my older brother, Jesse James Brooks, we funeralized him on Saturday, and now we back in Baltimore, Maryland here, visiting with Charles, Adrian, and the four Hebrew boys. And they are a challenge. But we are enjoying ourselves with them, and we're getting ready to head back to Texas.
Very
Really
good.
will miss them.
Yeah,
So far, we have enjoyed them so far.
good.
It's been a blessing.
Just to see them grow up, how much they've grown through COVID.
Two
COVID
years.
took out a lot of family time with them,
It's
and I pray to the Lord that this COVID will disappear from the face of the earth and never return so we can enjoy our families more and watch the boys grow up closer.
I was talking to mom earlier about how me growing up and some of the decisions that I used to make and I've always talked about some of the issues that I had, but my addiction, my parents got a chance to watch that in real time, and so I just wanted to ask you guys, what did you guys think about watching me go through all those things?
At first, I didn't have no idea that you were using drugs from the start, and at first I was in denial. And after we took you to counseling, and you got the counselor to agree with you, we were disappointed with that particular counselor, but we I was very nervous watching you, always worrying about you. But when you went off to college, we were really worried about you. The choices that you made for your living, we didn't agree with it, but we figured that you was a grown up, so I had to pray to the Lord to let me back off and turn you over to the Lord. And then if I was going to turn you over to the Lord to handle it, I had to take my hand off the situation. So we realized you was an adult and we had to go with your choices. And even though we tried to protect you from hitting the hard lumps and bumps, we just decided that hitting some of the lumps and bumps will make you grow. And now we see the growth that you've taken by experiencing certain things that you had to go through that we couldn't shield you from. And now we are very proud of whom you become. And we had to realize a lot of time we ask, why is Charles going through this? Neither one of us took drugs or anything. But at the moment, it wasn't for us to know why you were going through it. And now, looking over the past couple of years, we see why you went through it. Because God was preparing you to handle and deal with it and go through the different phases. So now you can counsel others about the phases. You have a testimony that you can give hands on. I've been through this, I experienced this, and you are in a place where you could help someone not go through the lumps and bumps, but you tell them what to expect if they keep going down the road that they're going. But we are very proud of whom you become so far.
What about you, Dad? How did you see it?
Well, she said it all. I don't need to add a whole lot, but I must say something. Well, at first, I never been around drugs before, and so I was working with a young man at Dow Chemical, and I was talking to him about how do you know whether someone is on drugs or not, and he told me what to look for, and so I started looking and checking your backpack and all that to see were you really using drugs. And then I found out later that you were. We knew when we put money in your bank account, in a couple of days, the money would be gone. And so I asked the guy. He said, well, Brooke, you need to check. Probably he using drugs. And so,
We was in
but
denial.
yes, because we didn't think that our boys would be using drugs. We wanted you to graduate from high school, then go to college, and then get a good job. But through it all, you did everything that we wanted you to do. You did finish high school, you did go to college, and not only did you get your BS, you got your master's in counseling and doing very well. But God had His hands on you, and we prayed that God would turn you around,
Yes.
and He did. So we are so blessed, and we're so thankful that you and Andre are doing real well. You have a family, and you're doing great. So we give all the praises to God, because if it wasn't for Him,
Him with his hands
you
on
could have been in jail, could have been dead, in prison. But God kept His hand on you. And so we are so thankful for what you're doing here in Maryland. And I know you are helping a lot of families here. You're doing great things. And so we're so proud of you. And just keep your hand, keep trusting in the Lord. And He will give you the desires of your heart.
Whenever it was all going on, was there a point where you thought it was just gonna go bad?
Yes.
with the company that you was keeping at the time. Yes, we thought that it would go bad. Um, but we was hoping that you had enough uh, biblical training that you could always turn it around, and that's what we were praying, that you would turn your life around. Cause I could see if you hadn't turned your life around, we know where you was headed. You was either heading to jail, in prison, or dead. And that's what worried me whenever you would come in sort of late, especially when you was on probation and come in late. I was staying up with headaches and headaches, but to heal myself also, I had to turn it completely over to the Lord. And one day, I went to the altar and I took my hands off of you and I just gave you back to the Lord, and it works out. And I think it helps. I think it helps if the person that you're counseling know something about God and what He could do, and have the if they have the faith to put their trust in God to take that away from them, because it's going to take counseling and believing in a higher being, which is God, that they can come through it. And they have to fight. They have to have the will to fight for life.
And what do you think, Dad? Like for people that might be going through it now, parents that are struggling, what advice would you give them?
I would say, first of all, you have to put your trust in God, and then you also have to listen and kind of observe your child. Uh, this thing about this is my room. Parents, you can't go in my room. That what's in that room belongs to me. So I have all the rights to go in the room and check to see is check your paraphernalia, make sure that there's no drugs in your backpack, uh, but also listen at your child. You know, because a kid could be going through some things that you are not even aware of. So I would just say, just be open, be transparent to your child, and if the child is going through something, uh, just listen to them, and normally you'll find out whether they're on drugs or drinking alcohol or whatever, you know, and then observe their friends,
Yes.
who their friends' parents are. You know, if the parents allow kids to do anything, well, your child gonna fall in that trap. So you really need to know that your child friends are, and other than that, just be open. You know, and then even though we were one that didn't use drugs before, doesn't mean that you could
Your child.
shelter your child from
Okay.
that. You try to. You put, you know, you take them to church, and you try to. The most worst thing you can do is try to pick their friends. The friends that you think is appropriate for them is not the one that your child feels though that's not the kid that I want to hang out with. You know, if your kid like to hang out with rowdy kid, they go no matter what. Because I remember when you left Sam Houston and went to Prairie View, someone said you putting it from the frying pan into the skillet. And the same type of friends that you had at Sam Houston, you picked those same friends at Prairie View. But thank God that you
You
turned it
guys.
around. You know.
A lot of pain went into turning that around. A lot of money was wasted, legal fees. I still remember that day when you came to court at Sam Houston when I was moving out, and I had to move all that whole apartment, in one day. Didn't have no driver's license after that. I mean, it was a crazy period, and that's why whenever I do this with clients, I make it a point to understand that I've been there before and that I don't act like I haven't been there, and I understand it. But hey, it's this is my parents, by way of Mississippi, raised me in Texas, and now I'm in Maryland, and so I just am grateful to have them in my life, regardless of how far of distance it is. It's always a pleasure to be around my parents when I have the opportunity. So, is there anything else you would like to add before we wrap it up? What?
The parent can't take on their problem. You have to let them take responsibility for their problem. We made you work, pay all your fines off. I know it's easy for parents to just give you the money to pay the fines and court fees and things, but it wasn't our problem. It wasn't, we didn't have the problem. It was your problem, so we made you accept the responsibility of handling your problem. We made you work, even though I cried with some of the jobs that you come in dusty face and only I could see your eyes, but you was working, and we made you handle that part, so you'll remember where you had to come up from, and then you had to remember where you didn't want to go back to. And I would say to parents now, don't try to shortcut your child's learning um, what they've done. Let them be responsible for paying the fee and working it out for themselves. Because if we had paid the money and worked it out for you, you probably wouldn't have never learned a lesson.
What about you, Dad? Any last thing?
Well, I would just say, just put your trust in God and give the child over to the Lord, and let Him work on that child. Uh, and I'm just so thankful that I have a pastor who is very transparent. He tells us all the things that he's gone through. Then I look back and I said, well, that's some of the things that Charles went through, but it was a learning experience for Charles and for us.
Yes.
But we didn't give up. You know, we look back at our own life and think about, well, I went to college, and and I did this, I got a good job, and you want that for your child. But the bottom line is the child have to want it for himself. And I'm so thankful now that when you get up and talk, you tell the world your story. And I think that's going to help a lot of young men, especially black men, on you, even though you make a mistake,
Get it.
you can get up and there's a second chance. God give us second chances. And I'm so thankful that he gave you a second chance. And we're just so proud of the man that you have become. So just keep your hand in God's hand. And if you do that, you know, everything will work out.
Hey, nothing better than coming from the Brookses. Hey, we're just trying to give you a little piece of our story, hoping that
Experience.
somebody out there, some parent, some sibling, something changes their life by watching this video. I thank you. As always, it's David Brooks, the Cadillac Counselor, but I'm with David Brooks and Evelyn, and we are signing out. Take it easy. Bye.